All right, here we go. Another episode of Double Take. Coming up on Double Take with the Watch Brothers. We may not be coaches, or we may not be professional players, but we know the feeling of losing games. From a losing perspective or losing consecutive games, how can you bounce back and do better? We'll offer that advice coming up later. Also, the importance of the draft. Some teams do not take the drafts very seriously, and sometimes does not even utilize them either. How important is the draft, and how can you utilize it? We'll have that also for you coming up later in the show. And finally, executing your weakness. So many strong points a player can execute, but when the defender shows your weakness, how can you find your problem and turn your weakness into a strong point? We'll have that for you and the rest of the outlines coming up later in the show. And then, what's on your mind? We either blow off steam or we just talk. Whatever it is on our mind. Sports or not. Followed by quiz mania question of the day. And finally, critical thinking of analyzing stats. Darren gives interesting facts and information, and also analysis with me, myself, for the NBA and or NFL. That is all coming up on Double Take. Sports Talk with the Watch Brothers. From Indianapolis, Indiana, welcome to Double Take Sports Talk, where we take NBA and NFL topics to another level. We are hit on our fourth episode of the show. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Darrell Watts, alongside my partner in crime, my brother, Darren Watts in the house.
What's happening? What's going on?
Not much, man. How you feeling? You doing all right?
Yes, sir. Can't complain.
Can't complain? Yeah, I really can't complain either. Feeling pretty good. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to get this thing started.
hmm Well, let's do this
All
then.
right,
Let's get started.
let's get started. Okay. Start off our show with the rundown. First interesting topic of the day. Clear path foul. Clear path to the basket. This is the focus point of the NBA. Now, why make this call very difficult? So, if let me say this before you even speak. If we need to actually break down what a clear path foul is, by all means, I will break that down real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay. Here is the original rule of a clear path to the basket, clear path to the foul. This is from NBA.com. If a fast break starts in a team's backcourt and the defender fouls any offensive player when the team is going to score an easy basket, a clear path foul has occurred. When the foul happens, no defender can be ahead of the ball where he could defend against the easy basket. That is the general rule of the clear path to the basket. Now, why make this difficult? Why make this call difficult? Is it from the NBA player standpoint? Is it from the coaches? They call a review. Hey, we want a review on that because you're trying to get your way into to the foul line. But what is it?
First off, I think it's too fast paced for them to keep up.
Yeah,
And to make a rule like that when it's fast paced and athletic as these players are, they are trying to keep up with something that the human eye cannot keep up with. That's what they're doing.
so what do you think? That's a good point. What do you think? You think something should change about clear paths to the basket? Do you think that any fast break that any team has started, offensive team has started, do you believe that they should call it anyway when a defensive player fouls them on a fast break? That it should be a straight foul because it's a fast break, send them to the free throw line? What do you think should happen?
That depends. If a team have already started a fast break,
Hmm.
like I was just looking at a video the other day, can't remember if it was the Lakers and I think it was the Hawks. Um, I don't remember who it was that stole the ball. I really didn't pay attention. For one, I was half asleep, and two, it was something for me to look at while I was trying to fall asleep, which succeeded because obviously I have no clue who it was. I just saw, it was Shandon Brown for the Lakers, and I don't remember who the guard was for
Oh, so this must have been
Atlanta.
about what, 2008, 2009?
It could have been. It could have been. Was he wearing number 12 at the time? Shandon Brown?
Yeah, I think he won number 12 the whole time he was with the Lakers.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, it was him. He got the ball stolen from a Hawks guard. I don't remember his name. I was going to say Dennis Schroeder, but it wasn't him because he was taller than him. So I just can't remember who it was. But anyway, he stole the ball, and he had a clear path to the basket. So that automatically triggered a fast break. Nobody was there. It was a one-on-one opportunity anyway.
Uh-huh.
He went up for the dunk, and Shandon Brown came from behind him and blocked him.
Oh.
And they still call a foul. He all-balled him and did not contact him and still called a foul on him. A situation like that should have been considered a block, and it should have been considered a continued play.
Wow.
You cannot... See, the thing is with me is that I don't like when... For an example, even when it's not even on a fast break, if a player succeeds in a pick and roll, what I hate is for somebody back in the day. This is I don't see it too much in today's NBA, but I seen it back a lot in the 90s. I see it a lot with Charles Oakley. Makes me mad that this happens all the time. Charles Oakley, every time the Indiana Pacers succeeded in a pick and roll, or they have succeeded to where it's a clear path to the basket. Every time that happens, Oakley will come in and put his body on the line and don't even know where he's stepping at. And then get mad when he don't get the call. Why do you do that? They have a clear path. You're blocking the way. So they have every right to knock you over.
And then on top of that, you're not even in the restricted area for you to be trying to draw a charge.
Exactly. And even on top of that, even if you are in the restricted area, if you get dunked on, they're not going to call no offensive foul.
No, they're going to call a foul on you. A blocking foul.
A blocking foul for being in the way. If you want to block somebody so bad, be an offensive lineman.
You know what? You got a point because he do that all the time.
He do it all the time. He'll come in. He'll come in and we can look at him on them old Pacer tapes we have. You can go on YouTube and look at him. He'll come in. He will step in and do this. What are you going to get out of that?
You ain't getting nothing.
You ain't getting nothing out of that.
Ain't working.
You're not getting that. And you really got it.
And your best ability is hustle points. That's his best ability is hustle points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anytime, like you said, anytime they have a clear path to the basket, whether it's a fast break or not, and you doing some crazy stuff like that, that's an issue.
It is, and I just think that it just depends on what the current situation is. If it's a fast break and a player does have a clear path to the basket, and a player does intentionally foul, then yeah, automatically a foul. But if a player does go up and attempt to block and don't have no type of contact, then it shouldn't be called a foul. The NBA is making this a lot harder for a human eye to see than what it is.
And that's the thing, and that's why they started pulling out these reviews and stuff like that, and they just started getting into that. But my thing about that whole entire clear path to the basket and stuff like that, I have a hard time trying to figure out that they make a big deal of it. They make a big deal of it. Yes, they do, and I can understand from a NBA player's standpoint because that could send good chances of a good foul shooter
to the free throw line. That's automatic 2 points.
That's automatic 2 points sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're down big. But at the same time, if you're really going to make a big deal of the clear path to the basket, I got some news for you. Let it be. That's just how I feel. Let it be. You know.
You lost a defender.
You lost your defender. Straight up.
You just lost him.
You can't because, and it happens a lot, especially when it comes down to the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. It happens a lot. In the fourth quarter, you're down critical points, rather than 6 or 8. very critical points. You're down those many points, and ball gets stolen. That's when you want to go ahead and do your clear path foul. I'm sorry. Let that be. Because you don't want to risk your good players getting into foul trouble or getting fouled out of the game. That's how I feel about it because most of these players are already to get into foul trouble. Now even guards are starting to get into foul trouble.
Now, there's one more point to look at. You also look at it from a strategy standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
If if a fast break starts and it's one of the worst free throw shooters, foul him.
I'll foul him. Yeah, that would
Foul him.
But
Foul.
then we're just looking at the replays and then delaying the game longer than what it is.
Yeah, that's another. That's why I said the human eye. You just can't keep up with certain things,
No, you can't.
and if you can't keep up with certain things, just don't even bother to try to,
Absolutely.
make this clear path to the basket fouls so difficult to call. Cause they already got a lot of other stuff they got to worry about.
A lot of other rules they got to worry about.
It's just
That's
too
not
much.
even intact.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much to worry.
That's why you can't pay me enough to be a referee.
Shoot, like y'all getting paid good enough.
They getting paid good enough, but they ain't getting paid enough for me.
Not for me either, Cody. That's too much to remember.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get me full time for that one.
Yeah, and a lot of training.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on. Yeah. I think I got Darren on this one. He spent most of his time on this one. And I didn't realize how this was going to be. Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, also general manager and all other titles that you could think of. How would you rate this man as the owner? And what are things that you think he needs to improve or work on? Now, when I say this, you can rate the man from either 1 to 10, or you could just flat out just make a review rate of him. So, I know Darren got plenty of loads on that.
What's your intake first?
What's
I'm
my
curious.
intake?
I'm curious. What's yours?
Here's my intake on Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, I'm going to point out the positives first. He is a very good businessman.
Mm-hmm.
With him winning 3 Super Bowls with the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
27, 28, and 30, of course. And with him and his net worth of $5 billion or $5 million, I can't remember which one it is. He has a competitive heart. I'm going to tell you that right now. He has a competitive heart. But here is the issue. His competitive heart is in the wrong place and in the wrong area. You're so worried about improvements within the organization. You're so worried about improvements of your stadium. You're so worried about winning this Stadium of the Year stuff and crap like that. May not be, but that's what I think. And if you're more focused on that, buddy boy, you need to find another profession because you need to go back to the old drawing board and you need to remind yourself when you first bought the Dallas Cowboys. You need to remember that this is a business. You're there to win Super Bowls. And if you're not going to take that seriously, because you have not won a Super Bowl in about, almost a little over 20 years or close to 20 years, something like that, you got a problem. You have these talented players that come and go that are wasted. Not to mention your criticism. This is not good. So, like I said, he's a good business owner, but he got a lot that he needs to work on if he wants to, get to that competitive level of football again. He's too worried about a lot of other things and not football. That's my thing. I'm on with Jerry Jones. That's how I feel about it.
And I say the same thing. I agree. The only thing that concerns me is the fact that he's not even worried about the organization. At one point in time, he was. When he first purchased the Dallas Cowboys, he did. He
Yeah.
was the winning those 3 Super Bowls,
Mhm.
and then not to mention, he was. Let me make sure I read this right before I go and start.
Saying some stuff that ain't even
That
true.
is not even true. But I believe that he was the first. He was the first owner to win 3 Super Bowls within his first 4 or 5 years as an owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think no other owner
Has
done that. This, to me, shows that he wanted to make a stamp. He wanted to make a point about him being in this business. He made that point.
He made that point.
Right up until after the 3rd Super Bowl win. After the 3rd Super Bowl win is when everything went downhill. That's when he started getting this big head. This is when he decides that he wants to start worrying about different other things that had nothing to do with the team. Don't get me wrong. He utilizes the draft. Do not get me wrong. Dez Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Romo. Although them 2 got injured, he utilizes the draft. Do not get me wrong. He utilizes them. He still somewhat pay attention to it. And he still pays attention to the team. But you know that his big headedness is going towards trying to improve things. Here's what I mean by that. Texas Stadium, back in the 90s, ratings for their architecture was an 8.
8 out of a what?
10. Concessions, 5 out of 10. Scoreboard, 4 out of 10. Ushers, 4 out of 10. Fan support, 5 out of 10. Location, 3 out of 10. Banners and histories, being, considered like the Colts Ring of Honor and how the Cowboys have theirs, 8 out of 10. Entertainment, 9 out of 10. Concourses and fan comfort, 3 out of 10. Tailgating scenes, 1 out of 10. Cowboys cheerleaders, 2 out of 10.
Ooh.
Distinctive
And they're the most
roof.
popular cheerleaders in the NFL.
I'm already finished getting into that.
Oh, man.
Distinctive roof, 1 out of 10. Their total score was 54.
Out of 100?
I believe it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I would say maybe 120. Something like that. Because they categorized them by 10.
Absolutely.
Categorized them by 10, so it'd be like 120.
Yeah.
Their total score was a 54. This was Irvington, Texas Stadium. In 1994, that's when he announces, because this was out in 2001. He already knew then in 94 that this was a problem. He knew it then. And at that time, he had just won, I think, his first Super Bowl. I think he had just won his first. Am I right? Or am I wrong?
Wait, what year was that?
94.
He had just won his first Super Bowl.
Yeah. He had just won his first Super Bowl. He wanted to expand the seating at Texas Stadium to 40,000. He's thinking about the stadium. He's thinking about how he can improve as, what's the word I'm looking for? He's trying to improve not as a team,
But as a fan base.
but as a fan base. He wants to improve as a fan base. Me personally, I would let other people worry about that. That's just me personally.
Me too, dude.
You got a team to worry about.
You got a team to worry about, exactly.
You got a team to worry about.
See, he wants to get involved in every little thing, and sometimes that does not help.
And that's the reason why you are sidetracked now with not being able to keep players healthy and picking out the wrong draft picks sometimes, and not being able to utilize certain things that you really need to utilize because you still ain't utilized a good quarterback. How many times you done went through a quarterback after Tony Romo got injured?
And that's not good at all.
So
you have to use that.
He wanted to add retractable roof panels and climate control system and year-round venue for sporting events and things like that. That was in '94. He wanted to do that. So he talked with Arlington because that was one of the locations where he wanted to put him at. It was Arlington, and I think it was Grapevine, and Coppell. was the two other locations he wanted to have it at. Now, in my personal opinion, you're never going to win Stadium of the Year, and I'll get to that in a second. That being said, in 2005, they went on and put the retractable roof on, and they went on and made an agreement and made the plans to do everything. So I'm sitting here thinking throughout this whole thing while I'm sitting here, looking at this. Where in this did he say that he wanted side windows? And I looked very hard, and that's what made me stay up till past midnight trying to figure out where did he say in this that he wanted side windows to the new stadium.
And even retractables.
He never really even said side windows. Never said side windows. The Colts had made the announcement that they was going to add their new window to their stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder, because I still have not found no information on that. Did he put that in last minute? Because now he's the first person. The Cowboys, Arlington, Texas, AT&T Stadium is the first stadium to actually have two movable windows. But that was before the Colts
Had went on and threw a side window in there.
had threw a side window in there, and they were the only NFL team that had that.
Exactly.
That's where he comes in and wants to do better to not only have one, but two.
What's two? I mean, is two going to help you win the Super Bowl? It hasn't.
Not to mentioning, to which I think is illegal, to have this big screen sitting on top of the stadium so low that a team can't punt the ball. No hang time. I think it's so illegal.
Yeah, that's illegal.
To me, that is so illegal.
I think when it comes down to that gives both special teams an advantage when it comes down to punting.
Yeah, it's a
And
disadvantage.
that hurts.
On top
It
of that,
hurts.
again, it's about him. It is the world's largest TV screen. It's the world's largest. It hit Guinness World Book of Records. It hit World Guinness Records of Book. It hit that.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this.
Yeah, it hit. That was the biggest. To mentioning the two side windows
Yeah.
and the screen. Them are the two things that made him, and that wanted to make this stadium the biggest and the greatest.
And make
But-
it all about him.
But at the end of the day, article of 2014, right before Super Bowl, NFL put out, StadiumJourney.com put out an article by Paul Swaney in 2014 in February, put out this article rating the top stadiums. Where did Dallas land? At that time, they had already opened. Where did they land? Number 4.
That's the
All
stadium.
this hard work, you still ranked number 4.
That was a new stadium, right?
AT&T Stadium, ranked number 4. World largest TV, 2 side windows, to be able to move, and you still ranked number 4.
That's a problem.
Problem. Number 1, Lucas Oil Stadium ranked number 1. That was their 3rd consecutive year that they ranked number 1. Why did they rank number 1? Best downtown sports scene in the United States.
Yeah.
Arlington,
That's
Texas.
next.
Arlington, Texas is like they are in the middle of a landfill. They are in the middle of nowhere. No scenery, but a highway.
Yeah, that's next. He's gonna find that.
Sports experience. Where do you get sports experience from where AT&T Stadium is at? Nowhere. All you have is that stadium. That's why there's too much junk in there. Too much stuff in there. Heinz Field was number 2. And it's been up for years.
They've been up for years.
And then Lambeau Field. That's been up since almost the 1900s. If not that.
Yeah, that's bad.
You are trying to do all these things to make yourself impressive, and you still rank 4th. And Lambeau Field had you beat, and they've been out for years. They ain't even made a new stadium yet. And you mean to tell me
So
this is where your big head come from?
see now, Here's new advice. Stick with the Cowboys.
Just stick to the Cowboys.
Just stick with the Cowboys.
Just stick to the Cowboys. You got two. The only reason why the Colts outbeat them was because of what this man said. The best downtown experience. They turned Georgia Street into a
Super Bowl experience.
Yeah, and they turned it into a event street.
Yeah, sure did. Thoughtfully planned out.
Except for the stadium itself, that's a whole nother
story.
That's
There's
a
things
whole
that
nother
y'all don't
story.
even know about that stadium that they don't even put out.
No, that they don't even put out. Just lo and behold, Jerry Jones, stick to the Cowboys.
Yeah, stick to the Cowboys.
Find you a quarterback and stop trying to play around with fire, because you're going to get burned every time.
So, what would you rate him?
A 1.
A 1? Wow.
A 1.
I was going to rate him a 2.
No, he's a 1. From the time when he first started, he was a 7. When he, after his first Super Bowl win and after his third, he went down to a 1 to me.
Wow.
He went down to a 1.
All right. That's very interesting to know. Keep that in mind. That's the life of Jerry Jones, folks.
Yeah, that's the life of Jerry Jones.
That's the life of Jerry Jones.
Ugh.
All right. Here we go. Mr. Watts again. You got the floor again.
Oh, really? Golly. I just did all that talking.
Yes, you did. Interesting stats and information. So,
Yep.
it's you.
Yeah, it's me.
What's yours, baby?
Now, going into this, keeping in mind, we really try to tie this in with critical thinking analysis, but because football season is over and there is no, interesting facts on the day, I went on ahead because it's off season. So I went on ahead and did something a little different. You're gonna notice something as I go through this. On May 8th of 1999, Utah star Karl Malone, with 3,712 points, passed Irvin Magic Johnson with 3,701 for the 6th position in all-time playoff scoring in 1999. That's Karl Malone.
Wow. The mailman.
In 1988, former NBA legends Lenny Wilkens and Casey Jones were amongst 3 men inducted into the Hall of Fame. Wilkens would get the call again from them 10 years later, saying that he was inducted as a coach.
10 years later?
10 years later.
I know he was going stir crazy.
Yeah, wondering when he would get it as a coach.
Ooh, I know he was going stir crazy.
May 14th, 1980. That sound familiar to you?
Sound like Magic Johnson's rookie year.
Magic Johnson committed an NBA Finals record 10 turnovers in Game 5 against Philadelphia, but the Lakers won anyway, 108-103 in Los Angeles.
Wow. How interesting is that?
10 turnovers and still win the game? How many point guards commit that many turnovers and still win a game? It's not too many of them.
No, you don't see a lot of them.
Not too many of them. May 14th, 1996. This sound familiar.
It sounded like Magic Johnson's last year.
The legendary Irvin Magic Johnson of the LA Lakers have returned to the NBA after a 4-year retirement to play 32 regular season and 4 playoff games, announced his retirement from the NBA.
Sound like Magic Johnson Day to me.
May 15th, 1984. This date sound familiar?
Yeah, this is Magic Johnson's prime.
Magic Johnson notched a playoff record, 24 assists, as the Lakers beat the Phoenix Suns 118-102 in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. John Stockton of Utah Jazz tied that record with 24 against the Lakers on May 17th, 1988.
Damn, Stockton made a case. He made a case.
He made a case.
He made a case.
But let me tell you who made the real case. Scott Skiles.
30 assists.
30. Magic Johnson have yet to beat that and will never beat it.
Nope. Scott Skiles beat that in the playoff and the regular season.
He sure did, but he didn't post that type of numbers in the playoff, which is, to me, something's wrong with that.
Yeah, something's wrong with that.
Something's wrong with that. And lastly but not least, May 16th, 1980. That sound familiar?
Magic Johnson.
Rookie guard Magic Johnson filled in at center for the injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and came up with 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists as the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA title by beating Philadelphia 123-107 in Game 6 of the Finals. A rookie.
Yep, and that was his first championship.
First champ and a rookie.
And a rookie.
42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. And you dishing out crap like that as a center?
Something's wrong with that.
Magic Johnson sank all 14 of his free throw attempts to set a finals record. And he was named finals MVP.
He better have. He better have. Center, post, and point guard stat lines. Yeah. As a center. Yeah.
Magic Johnson's 42 points was the most scored by a rookie in the NBA Finals. And to this day, I do not know any rookie that have beaten that record.
And it ain't gonna be none. That's it.
Jordan didn't even do this.
Nope.
And that is interesting facts and information for the month of May.
That's cool. That's cool.
It was a Magic Johnson day because he set so many things on this day. I had to share them.
And it was, what, playoff time.
Yeah, playoff time.
So, all right, with that in mind, it's time to get a break from all this.
Yeah, I need one.
It's time to share what's on our see this. Jerry Jones. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. Okay, it's time to share what's on our minds. Mr. Watts, I'm going to start this off with you. Good water, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that.
All that talking you did.
Oh, that was good.
All right, you do a little bit more here. What you got? What's on your mind?
Okay. Me and you was talking the other day, and we never put it into topic, so I decided I'll go ahead and do it now.
Fine by me.
John Starks becoming the head coach. Me and Daryl had a heated debate off the recorder about John Starks becoming a coach and that he would be a good coach. Daryl says that he will make a good coach. I say he will not.
I think he would.
No, he will not.
Okay. Why not?
Hothead! Are you kidding me? Let's flash back to 1993.
Who do you think Pat Riley's team was? A hothead.
You think Pat Riley came in there and told them to be hotheads?
No, but he did tell them to be nasty.
He told them to be nasty, but not hotheads. They were two different things.
You gotta show your personality.
You have to show it, but you can't let it get into your head. He got ejected for that. You cannot let other players show your weakness. And John Starks is too highly emotional for that. He cannot be a coach. He will draw a team out of control. I just can't. If he had more control of himself first, I believe he would make a coach. But he cannot make a coach and be a coach, him being hot-headed.
He had years away from basketball. Why not? He had his years away from basketball. He might have, take a seat. He might have taken some time. I can't focus.
I don't know why. What's wrong?
You got this confident look at me, and it's like I can't even rebut this because you got this confident look in your face. And I can't.
Go ahead. I'm not trying to intimidate you.
You don't intimidate me.
I just want to hear what you have to say.
Since he had time away from basketball, I believe. He could have. I don't live inside his life or anything, but I believe that he could have gotten, the help that he needed. And I believe he do want to coach. He probably has some thought about it. I'm not going to say 100% that he has, but I believe if he actually had a shot to be a coach, I think he'd make one good one.
I don't think so.
I think he would.
Do you not realize all these fixed games? And you think that this man will make a good coach based off of them fixing games? this man would have to be.
I mean, look at Steve Kerr.
Look, he will outbeat Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone in technical fouls for playoff and regular seasons. He would be ejected more times than any other coach in the NBA. Too high-headed.
Now you're taking.
Too high-headed.
So now you're taking his past, which he could be a better man now, and reflect off of that, based off his hot-headedness back in the days. Is that what you're doing?
Why not?
You ain't gonna give the man a chance, ain't you?
No, I'm not. How many times have you sat down and watched the NBA game after a certain amount of time off? How many times have you sat down and watched the NBA game and got mad off of a call?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this then. Rasheed Wallace. The man that led the season in technical fouls. You believe he can make a good coach?
Nope. I sure don't.
Well, what about your ignorant behind?
Nope, I won't either. Because I'll be thrown out of the game every time. I'm too opinionated. I just throw my stuff out there. I'm like a Phil Jackson. See, Phil Jackson made a good coach. But a lot of times he kept his cool. But then there was a lot of times where he did not keep his cool. But it cost the team, though, at the same time.
He got 11 rings. I mean...
I just don't see John Starks, Rasheed Wallace as potentials.
I don't see Rasheed Wallace either.
Because I'm not sure if they're leadership type of people.
So do you think Reggie will make a good coach? Reggie Miller?
Shooting coach, yes.
A shooting coach?
Absolutely, a shooting coach, yes. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, as a coach, but as a shooting coach, yes. Absolutely, but not as a head coach. No. No.
Wow. I'm stunned. I don't even know what to say. I just think personally that the man can actually give himself a shot.
Give him a shot. Go ahead, own you a team. Call him up.
I don't want to do that. I'm not taking no risk. Let somebody else do that. I'm not a professional player.
Obviously, yeah, you don't want to get thrown in that risk, but you should show more than welcome to throw it out there.
Well, shoot, there's people that do that for a living. I don't.
Let's make it a living there. Let's make you a owner, and you purchase a team, and you go out there, and you create your own team, and let John Starks become the head coach of it.
I tell you
what. Don't pick up a player that's similar to him and playing.
No.
Or you really in trouble.
Oh, don't be a dummy, dude. I don't do stuff like that. Well, here's my thing. Here's what I would do. If it's that highly that John Starks will make a good coach, here's what I would do. I would probably put him as one of the assistants.
Smarter move.
What?
Smarter move. It's a smarter move. But it's still a dummy move.
Oh my goodness. I can't.
It's a good move, but it's still a dummy move for the fact that he's even an assistant.
I mean,
my best bet is
how many players do you think you see now as coaches or assistant coaches that have hot heads that are currently coaching?
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. Look, Nate McMillan ain't a hothead. He just know how to shoot a ball.
He's a guard, yeah, so that's potential for everything.
I don't know really of anybody. I haven't really, paid attention to that. That's a good question, though, but I have not paid attention to that here lately. Oh, you got Jason Kidd. He's not a hothead, but he could be a better coach, but, he's not a hothead. Jeff Hornacek, he's not a hothead, but could be a better coach.
Could use some improvements, yeah.
And Bryra Scott, great player, but not coaching material.
Wow.
Stay behind the decks and you'll be fine.
Commentator-wise.
Or analyst. Either one.
Yeah. Absolutely. Dude, I just thought about it that John Starks could be a good coach, but
good thought.
Now if you'd just sat up here and just dogged me about it,
Good thought. I mean, if that was a good thought to think about, but I
Any
just see,
player.
I
So
just see
any.
hothead on the Indianapolis Star headline. That just automatically just said, nah, he just don't fit. He just don't fit. He just don't fit.
How you know the man could have, you know, learned from them and learn from his mistakes and.
You can learn. You can learn from your mistakes, but golly, like I said, as much as these games are fixed and they be calling wrong calls, do you not realize how much of them demons is gonna come back and haunt him? They are going to haunt him. He is better off just staying away from basketball.
I don't know because he could be a hot head down here in basketball. I don't know. I'm I'm just throwing new light here, new light of opportunity. That's all I was doing.
It's however you put it, but I just don't think he makes a good coach.
Wow.
If he had more patience and more leadership, then absolutely. But I just don't see him as that type because he's too hot headed. He's too hot headed. I can't see that. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Hmm. Let me tell you one thing that got my attention now. I happened to be on YouTube and I got to look at that. I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube, but I really wasn't. I'll admit I wasn't paying too much attention. But I was watching Inside the NBA and just like a little clip, and they had a story about Charles Barkley. He got a little bracelet for somebody. I don't know what it was, but that's what made the story funny.
I think I heard about this.
Man, I stood up there watching them. They cut this dude up.
I think I've seen that
Shaq,
episode.
Shaq was into that so badly.
Didn't he sing a
Spit
song?
out his water.
Did he sing a song behind that?
That he could have.
I think he might have sung it. If that's the same one,
If that's the
because they
same
be talking,
one,
they be dogging Barkley so
they
bad.
be dogging Barkley so badly.
I can't even keep up with how many times they did dog Barkley out on that.
Yeah.
Rather if it's inside the NBA, when they are doing coverage for playoff games, or rather if it's that inside the
Inside
NBA.
the NBA. And I didn't know at that point that him and Jordan are no longer friends. I didn't know that.
What happened?
Well, Charles Barkley said some things that Jordan didn't like. I don't know what it was.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if Jordan was
sounds
still
like me.
playing at the time when it happened, but he said some things that Jordan didn't like, and now they ain't talking no more. That just caught my attention. I watched a little clip of the interview about it, and I'm like, okay. He says that he wasn't doing it, to be his friend. He was doing his job.
Jordan do the same thing to everybody. He goes out there and humiliates them on the back. Well, I'm sounding like Jeff Van Gundy now, but he goes out there and he does go out there and humiliates them.
Mm-hmm.
He don't make them their friends, but he humiliates them on the court.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just like how he did Mutombo. Mutombo humiliated Jordan, talking about, "Hey, you never dunked on me." And this was during the All-Star. This was during the All-Star weekend. Mutombo was like, "You never dunked on me." Joe was like, "Oh yeah, I get you." A couple of weeks after All-Star, got him and topped him and got tech for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He goes out there and he humiliates them. When he gets a competitive mouth from somebody, he goes out there and tortures them for it. He's like a dragon.
Yeah, he's like a dragon.
He's like a dragon.
He'll spit fire all over you.
He will, and he'll do it. And if he probably actually had fire in his mouth, he would do it.
He'll do it. He'll do it. Absolutely. All right. All right. That was What's on Your Mind. We had a nice little break there. You're listening to Double Take Sports Talk with the Watch Brothers. I'm Daryl. On the other side of me is my brother Darren. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Thank you for listening to us, giving us an opportunity. Now it's time to discuss the headlines from what we discussed earlier in the show. All right, this might be the quickest ones we do, so don't be surprised. Um, Bouncing back from losing games. What is your advice for, you know, anybody, rather if it's a professional, even though we never stepped foot in an NBA professional floor or coached an NBA game or anything like that? What would be your advice anyway? Since we have knowledge of the game and stuff like that, what would be your advice for those, in a losing slump, try to bounce back and win games?
Remember back in 2002 and 2003 when we used to play basketball, we played all the time. We played and played and played. We lost every single time, and we never could figure out how we could get bounced back from that.
Right.
Here's what me and you did, and this inspired me the most to be able to give out this advice. What me and Daryl did was we stopped playing 5-on-5 games. We stopped playing 5-on-5 games, and in 2004, after we had a break, we would go out there from morning to night when school was out, and that's all we did was we practiced shooting around. We ate lighter. We did everything in our willpower to make ourselves better as players.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of the blue one day, we meet up with 3 guys, and we played with them and didn't lose a single game.
Sure did.
We practiced hard. We worked at our shooting, and we worked at our fatigue. And to me, that is the way to bounce back from losing games.
Absolutely.
You maintain your focus, and you work harder to find an area of improvement. That's what we
how
did.
It always is.
And our fatigue was our issue, and we fixed it.
And
And because of that, we won games. Didn't lose a game. We was out there with those guys.
Yeah, we did.
And we played like if we had great chemistry that we've been playing for 20 plus years. And we only just met each other on the court.
Yep, we had just met each other.
And we had just
And
played
we had played a game at 21
before.
We actually teamed up and played.
And that was it.
That was
We
it.
had no knowledge of them and how we played ball with them.
Nope.
It
Everything
just
just
showed.
started blending in.
Yeah, when you start to go out there and you just start to play, you understand your surroundings.
Right.
Daryl played point guard that game, and I played shooting guard that game. Me and Daryl was in the backcourt. And I'm telling you, the things that Daryl did, I wouldn't have been able to do.
Exactly. Yeah, because
And all of our teammates were on the same page.
Mhm.
To throw an alley-oop to somebody, I couldn't tell you when to throw a freaking alley-oop. I'm sorry, that's
And
just
that was
not
my
me.
first alley-oop I threw.
It's just the mere fact that you go out there, you find your weakness, you practice on it, and that's it. We never had a problem with shooting or passing. We just had a problem with fatigue.
Yeah.
And when we found out our fatigue, we went out there, we worked on it, and bam.
Mhm. And that was it, right?
That was it.
That was it.
That was it.
See, and you had good advice for that. And see, we did that without film. We
That's
had
true.
nothing to go back on.
That's true.
So don't think that for 1 second that you're listening to this podcast and think, oh man, these are not NBA professional players. How am I going to be able to learn off of that? We think.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We don't have film that we need to look back on. Professional players does. They have film they can look back on
And I
see
think
how they can improve.
And sometimes I think that hurts. Sometimes I think that hurts.
It can hurt to an extent. But if you're just looking at this film just to look at it to see, oh man, okay, need to do more of this, need to do more of that. No, that's not what's going to get you to help you, bounce back in these games. If you're going to study film and if you're going to look at film, what I would do, if that was me in a professional game, I would look as for myself and the whole entire team aspect.
Mhm.
Because if me as a point guard, I want to know what my teammates did wrong too.
Mhm.
I want to see what my teammates was up to for the defenders to shut them down, and then we could be able to take all that in and then go to practice and bam, that's it.
Mhm.
It's over. And then you could be able to take stuff that you've never done before, do things you've never done before, and take it out there to the court. And it's a done deal.
Yeah.
It's a done deal.
Oh yeah.
So
Good advice.
I would also say stick it to the plan a little bit. It's always good to have a backup plan.
Oh yeah.
It's always good to have a backup plan. And mix them.
Yeah.
It's always good to have that.
Mix and match like Cheetos.
That's right. Absolutely. And then, of course, like I said, do things you've never done before.
Oh yeah.
Do things you've never done before.
You never know how it works.
You never know how it works for one, and two, it can help you in winning situations.
Yep.
It can help you in winning situations because it keeps the defense off balance.
Yep.
Period. If everybody did their part and did things they never done before, oh man, please come on.
Yeah.
Good chemistry adds up to everything.
Yeah.
Why do you think Peyton Manning did so good?
Although he's dunking the Super Bowls.
He stinks in the playoffs. I'll tell you that now. But during the regular season, he passed that like colors.
He passed the quiz.
He'll pass the quiz portion of it, exactly. So, looking at it from a non-professional player aspect and looking at it from an NBA player perspective, those are things that you have to consider and think about. Sometimes you do have to take your mind off basketball a little bit if you have a routine, lay off of it a little bit. If you're doing a lot more than what you were doing to try to improve yourself, sometimes you just have to take away a little bit of that to kind of readjust yourself.
Good advice. Good advice.
So, just out there for you to know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes our advices may not work, so sometimes you just don't take advice sometimes and run with it.
You work for what's best for you.
But you work what's best for you. Exactly. All right. Moving on. The importance of draft. How important is the draft and how to utilize it? We talked about this earlier of course, Gary, you mentioned it with Jerry Jones and how he can utilize good drafts.
Well,
so how important is draft?
It is important because when you come up with a cat like Jamarcus Russell, you know you have to utilize the draft. For his entire 3-year stint with the NFL.
And what they are with the Raiders?
Yep. 354 completed passes for 680 passes completed. 4,083 yards. 18 touchdowns. 23 interceptions with a rating of 65.2. He threw an average of at least maybe anywhere from 70 to about 170 yards a game. Problem? Check. Utilizing your draft picks are very important.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to end up with a guy like him, Jamarcus Russell. No.
But you want a guy like Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning,
Aaron Rodgers.
You want to utilize these people. And unfortunately, Tom Brady, even though he was round 6 out of like 256 pick.
Look at Brett Favre. Brett Favre did not learn a thing in practice, but went out there and knew what he was doing. It's all about being able to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
But you have to utilize those draft picks. Yeah. He was one of those ones that really didn't want to work. Look at Morris Sanchez. He's another one.
Lazy little.
Yeah,
he's lazy.
Yeah, he just didn't want to work. He didn't want to work. So you have to know good judgment. And that's why it's important to know what you're getting yourself into draft day. You have all the time in the world to work at it.
And here's my other thing about teams not utilizing the draft picks. Here's my thing about it. They get too impatient.
That too.
They get too impatient and they expect them to know a lot. And that's what the media calls a bust.
Oh yeah.
And we've seen plenty of them. We have seen plenty of busts in the NFL from a first-round draft pick perspective because they're not taken seriously because they're too impatient or they just expect them to know more than what they know.
Yeah.
And they don't take the time to actually utilize them. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, true.
All right. Executing your weakness. How can you turn your weak points into a strong point?
Mainly working at it. I've said this before when we was talking about losing games and bouncing back.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to work at it. You have to work at it, and you have to drill yourself on it. You can't let it, get to you.
Absolutely.
You don't want to show your opponent, oh, this is my weakness. Oh, I'm gonna tear you up for it too. Because if any time Jordan seen that, he was gonna tear you apart for it.
Exactly. And I tell you, I love when somebody exploited me and my weakness. Because you know what that called? Notes.
Yep. Good
Homework.
notes too, and I mean it was good notes.
Yes. Homework.
I mean, even when we play street ball, we utilize that. We utilized that.
Mm-hmm. We utilized it.
We utilized it, took notes off of it, and we learned from it. Now, sometimes we did learn off of it, but it just never executed it the way we wanted it to be executed.
Yeah.
But, it's all about still continuing to be persistent at
it. Excuse me. Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Absolutely.
Being consistent with it.
Absolutely. And to me, that's the absolute best. And then also improving on your workouts. From your previous year. To make yourself better. To make yourself know that, okay, you did this, now I got to improve on it in the off season.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could have had an injury or whatever, stuff like that. Yeah. You got to improve on that.
Absolutely.
Prior to your workouts. So, There's a lot of things to kind of look at when you're doing this. So, absolutely. That's fair enough for me.
Yep.
All right. Time for Quizmania question of the day. Today's question. Who was the last Major League Baseball team to win 100-plus games and win the World Series? And what was the year they did it?
I'm going to have to go with the New York Yankees, the 2009 New York Yankees with a 103-59 record.
And that's exactly who it was. The New York Yankees. But the last team to win 100 games was the St. Louis Cardinals.
That was with a record of 162 under the new general manager, Mike Matheny.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But that was something that caught my attention.
There was quite a few things that caught my attention.
The Seattle Mariners in 2001.
With Ken Gifford.
116 games they won.
Mm-hmm.
Under Lou Piniella. 116.
Lou Piniella.
But lost in the championship series.
There is rarely a team that have won over 100 games to win a World Series. The Yankees
did it with 114.
Mm-hmm. And then here they are with 103.
Yeah.
Under Joe Girardi. One was under Joe Torre and the other one was under Joe Girardi. And
Jones must have good luck in that league.
Yeah, really. Because I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at St. Louis. I don't know how many times they make this list, but have not won a single World Series with Dale winning 100-plus games.
Must be nice, huh?
They have not won one World Series when they won 100-plus games.
And it looked like the Yankees are the only team to do it.
Only team that done it. Matter of fact, I think Boston done it too. 2004. Boston done it. Matter of fact, they did.
Yes, they did.
The 2004. No, I'm sorry. That was the Yankees. 101, 61. No, they lost. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
They lost. I don't think they done it. Oh, the Cardinals won 105 games in 2004, and they lost to the Boston Red Sox.
And didn't the Red Sox win 100 games that year? They won 90-something games. Okay.
They did not.
Okay. All right. Last portion of the show, critical thinking and analyzing stats. Today, I went on the NFL. Steve Young versus Joe Montana. This was the most heated one because of how Joe Montana left San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wanted to dig down on this. Who was the better player to put on the 49er uniform?
Joe Montana. Period. Joe Montana. To me, personally, Joe Montana. Joe Montana was under the West Coast offense. Joe Montana delivered the ball very accurately. Joe Montana has won Super Bowls off of it.
You also got to look at now even though, yes, I agree that Joe Montana's the better player, but also you gotta remember at the same time, Steve Young won 3. He's won 3. And that wasn't even under the West Coast offense.
I mean, Joe Montana win.
4.
Joe Montana.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
I know, but I'm just saying Joe Montana, to me, he was more of my idol in delivering the football. He's my idol. He the way he could deliver a football, Joe Montana,
Yeah,
and Johnny
absolutely.
Unitas of those years, to me, were my idols
Yeah,
and being able
absolutely.
to deliver the football.
Yeah,
I love Steve Young. He's a lefty, and I could learn off of him just based off throwing left-handed and being able to. And he's a very. There is rarely a good left-handed thrower. Steve Young and Mark Brunell was the 2 guys that I considered the best left-hand throwers in the NFL.
And you really don't see left-hand throwers in the league anymore.
No. And Boomer Esiason, to me, is not one of them. So if anybody even think to even ask about him, no. He's not one for me.
He's not.
Steve Young and Mark Brunell.
Yeah, absolutely. And that right there with.
Because see, Steve Young only posted a 94-49 regular season record over the course of his career, and Joe Montana did 100. Over 100. Matter of fact, to be exact, 117-57.
And see, that's why Joe Montana requested trades, because Steve Young didn't want to play backup.
Yes,
Joe Montana wanted to keep playing for the 49ers, but then after that, he was just like, forget it, I give up.
And I mean, and Steve Young really had no reason to do that, because Joe Montana was posting a 16-7 postseason record over the season. And Steve Young only had an 8-6 record.
And Joe Montana was planning on retiring soon anyway.
Right, so he just could have been patient a little bit more longer. He could have been still mentored over Joe Montana. That's why Steve Young was so good. Steve Young was so good because he was mentored over Joe Montana.
So, don't get yourself twisted when it came down to that in particular situation.
Absolutely.
So, but the fans saw different. They saw Steve Young too. So
I would pick Joe Montana until the end of the day.
I got Joe Montana.
Joe Montana, and if I was general manager, I would have stuck with Joe Montana until the end, until he was ready to retire.
Absolutely, I agree there. All right, for those who tuned in and listened to portions of the show, however that may be, in case you missed it, here's what you missed. We discussed the following headlines: losing and advice on how to bounce back, importance of the draft of any league, and executing your weakness. And we discussed the rundown of our show, understanding clear path fouls. Wow, I'll put clear foul focus. What? See, I did all this last night. I had written all this down. I typed all this down last night.
I see it now.
Yeah, and wow.
Bad timing.
Yes, that's what happens when you're lacking sleep.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Jerry Jones rating him as a owner, which of course we have our opinions. We did our Quiz Mania question of the day, and Darren shared interesting facts and stats. We took a break and discussed what was on our minds, and we wrapped up our show with Critical Thinking and Analyzing Stats, which features Steve Young and Joe Montana. Who was the better player to put on the 49er uniform? So, that wraps up another edition of Double Take Sports Talk with the Watch Brothers. With Darren, I'm Durrell. Thank you for tuning in. Catch up with us on another episode of Double Take Sports Talk. The Watch Brothers are officially
gone.